Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Emily. Great offering prep. You can leave the stand. I'll probably use it for something to lean on or something. I get a little nervous up here. So actually, I don't tell. All right. So once again, thank you, Emily, for leading our announcements. Who all was at the Wednesday night program, past Wednesday? Oh, that's a nice number. Had a good time, didn't we? Reverse charades. Who won? Of course. Nikki always wins. Nikki wins every week. She's been on the winning team every week. I promise somebody's giving her the answers. Somebody's doing something that she's winning every week, and I'm going to figure it out. Butch came out. You got to get on her team next time? Keep a close eye on that team next month, because yeah. Oh, ladies first. Well, we had a great time. I know I did. I didn't realize how much fun it was until we actually got up there as the pit crew and started doing it ourselves. By the way, if you're a member of the pit crew, please raise your hand. I see Emily in the back. Katie, you're an honorary member. And Maria, I think she was here earlier. But Chewy, right here. These are the faces that you'll see in the absence of Dorsey. I am Marcus. I am a member of the pit crew. I am also the lay leader for this, for LifeSpring Langston campuses. So, how many of y'all listened to Dorsey's message last week and relaxed? How many people had a week where they didn't have to relax? Raise your hand. Good. Relax. Just stress is coming from every which way, and for me, I know I can only speak to me. Got conference calls here. Got Wednesday night. Want to make sure you got enough sandwiches and sides for everybody. So I'm calling people. Hey, can you bring a sandwich? Can you bring this? Can you bring meats? Shout out to Ron, 5 pounds of ham. My man. Enough for next one too. We gonna freeze that and preserve it. But it's then conference calls at work. And then the lights go out at work in the middle of Friday, and then I got for an hour, restaurant's full, and only thing I can keep telling myself is what Dorsey said last week is relax. God is in control. Okay, I relaxed. I relaxed Monday on the conference call. I relaxed Tuesday. I relaxed Wednesday because I know that no matter how much we stress about having food there Wednesday night, it's 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. God's going to provide. He will. We have people like Ron. We have people that want to donate, that want to help out. So I relaxed. I relaxed Tuesday, Wednesday. I relaxed Thursday when I had to speak in front of the rest of the general managers in Brunswick. But I couldn't relax today. Thinking about today, I couldn't relax Friday. I couldn't relax Saturday. Saturday night, what's some things y'all do to relax? You called me Saturday. Oh, man, that helped me not relax there. Love you dearly, though, Preston. Who else does things to relax? You know what I did to relax? I took a bath. I lit some candles. I turned off the lights. And I sat in the bath. I was looking for one of those, what's them things called you sit in and it fizzles everywhere? Bath bombs. I looked for some of those and I couldn't find one. I said, that looks really neat when people put that in there and it's just chilling and it's suzzing. So I didn't have any bubbles. It was just me, the water, and the candles. And I relaxed. Because with me, I was struggling with what message did I want to bring to the congregation day. I know what I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about Lot and Abram and the love that we have for people even though they turn their backs on us and they do us wrong. Family, sons, daughters, kids, even though we give our all to them, that they still do us wrong. That's what I want to talk about. It's not what I was supposed to talk about. So I'm struggling up until 3 o'clock this morning. 3 o'clock this morning. And I wake up in the middle of the night and my struggle's over. Because at some point last night, about 11 o'clock, I realized that I had to relax. I had to know that God is in control and that it wasn't going to be me up here speaking. It was going to be God using me as a vessel to get the words that you guys need to hear out of me. Those words may be boring today, okay? Because as your lay leader, I had the privilege of attending the annual conference in Jekyll Island, June 3rd through June the 5th of this month. Of course, this month. This is June. So yeah, June 3rd through the 5th. It was a it was a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday event. I missed Sunday because I didn't know I was supposed to be there. Okay, am I talking too loud? How's that? Oh, shoot, it's the beard. Okay. I didn't think my beard was big enough to get in the way of anything, but okay. All right, how's this? We'll see. Okay. Still a little staticky.
Just kind of grab the mic and just kind of go like that.
Like that? Are we recording this? Because I look pretty silly. Not that far? How's that?
There you go.
Okay. Where was I? Annual conference. I had the privilege of representing, thank you very much for allowing me to represent you at the annual conference for the second year in Jekyll. So as part of my responsibilities, come on, Beard. As part of my responsibilities, where's the other microphone? All right. This is better than no static. Okay, so as my responsibility as a lay leader and a member of that delegation of that conference, my responsibility is come back and report to each congregation, the two congregations, over what was done at that conference. I'm going to try not to make this boring. That was a lot that was done in these 3 days. That was a lot discussed. We discussed anything from pastors' pensions to insurance to 50-year anniversaries to retired clergy. I'm not going to get into all of that because we'd be here all night, kind of like an SLI meeting. But inside joke. But I'm going to discuss the three things, my three takeaways from this meeting that we had. The three things that I think are pressing, three things that I think are relevant to our congregation. Now I come into church, I had no idea what all went into the Methodist denomination. I thought it was all the same. I thought that show up to church, sing a song, say a prayer, and that's how it's done. But after attending this conference for those 2 days, because I missed Sunday, I learned that there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and some of it's not always pretty. Now, there is a copy of the resolutions that were discussed. I don't know if you picked it up on the way in. What I'm going to do is talk about the first resolution. Then I'm going to talk about an amendment that we had that I didn't print out. Then I'm going to talk about the third resolution. Because to me, the third resolution is the elephant in the room. So the first resolution talked about the spiritual task force that we wanted to get together. So what happened with this was it's coming up real quick. Okay. So the first resolution, the Christian Spirituality Task Force resolution, which is at the top of the page, it reads a lot of whereas and as then, and I'm going to break it down in layman's terms to you. The first resolution, the Christian Spirituality Task Force resolution, was written and submitted by 4 South Georgia pastors and 1 lay member of the annual conference. It calls for the presiding bishop to appoint a task force to study how the conference can more effectively train and educate clergy and laity in the practice of personal and corporate spiritual disciplines. It also calls for the task force to consider ministry opportunities that will help deepen people's understanding and practices of spiritual disciplines. For me, that sounds like going to make disciples. It sounds a lot like what we're doing with our SLI team. In these meetings, we're learning the disciplines. We're learning ways to reach other people. And we vote on these resolutions. Dorsey and I, we sit right next to each other. Laity and clergy from each church sit next to each other so they can discuss. So after reading this resolution, the resolution's read by the secretary, and after the secretary reads it, we open the floor for discussion. So there's 3 for, 3 against. It's set up like this. There's a microphone there, and a microphone there, and each one is numbered. And if someone has something to say for or against the resolution, they come up and speak, one at a time. But we only hear 3. Most of the time, we only hear 3. So this one, for us, it sounds like disciple making. Sounds like we want to put together a task force, the bishop to appoint a task force to disciple make, to help us grow the church. As a denomination, our attendance, our membership in the Methodist congregation is down. I'm not sure if you knew that or not, but we're down. And there's a lot of things that there's one thing in particular I'll discuss that's not helping us at all when it comes to this, our numbers. You got non-denominations, their attendance is up. But as a Methodist congregation, our attendance is down. So for the bishop to appoint a task force to help us train and learn and just rejuvenate our denomination, Dosha and I voted yes. To us, this is a no-brainer. It sounded like disciple making. It sounded like SLI. It sounded like everything that we're about here at Life Spring. So for us, yes. Raise your hand, yes. We threw up yes. Those who opposed, they threw up theirs. I don't think anybody opposed because to us, this is what we're here for. This is why God called us. God called us to go out and make disciples of many nations. So for that one, we're all on one accord of that one. The next one was an amendment, which you don't have a copy of, but I'll read it to you right now. Now, this amendment discusses gender equality. Male, female, women, girls, equality to men. So I'm thinking, didn't we cover this back in like the 20s? Why are we spending time talking about the equality of men and women? We're past that. To me, this is no-brainer. Why are we voting on this? Why do we have to say that we agree that men and women are created equal? Genesis says God created men and women in his image, so we're equal. But when you have people and they have opinions and they have a platform to come to a microphone and speak and say what they feel, you get different views on what other people are seeing or people are reading in this. So what this read was initially, last year's conference, what this read was, the United Methodist Church recognizes it is contrary to Scripture and to logic to say that God is male or female, as maleness or femaleness as characteristics of human bodies and cultures, not characteristics of the divine. So last year, we were trying to decide, is God a man or a female? What do we want to call him, male or female? This is my first conference. And I'm thinking, why are we even discussing this? What, you think he cares? How many people think God cares? I honestly don't think he cares. That's not why we're here. We're not here to decide if God is male or female. But we vote on it anyway. We have to. It's a resolution. It's an amendment. They want to know how we feel. So we vote on this. It goes to the General Conference of Bishops. It's voted down because of that one sentence. So they send this back to us, and it reads this way: in the 2018 conference. As the Holy Spirit reveals both men and women are made in the image of God, and therefore men and women are equal value in the eyes of God, the United Methodist Church acknowledges the long history of discrimination against women and girls. The Methodist Church shall confront and seek to eliminate discrimination against women and girls, whether in the organization or in individuals. It is every facet of its life and society at large. The United Methodist Church shall work in collaboration with others to address concerns that threaten men's and girls' and equalities and well-beings. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, equality. Yeah, sounds good, right? Nope, we got 3 microphones right here, and everybody's got something to say. So, and I kid you not, it's because there's a deeper, it's deeper than just this right here. Because there's more brewing in the conference than just are men and women equal. To us, to me, to Dorsey, yeah. To most people, yeah, of course. But then the question comes up of transgender. What if I self-identify as a woman but born as a man? Vice versa. Which is relevant. But we felt like, Dorsey and I, we felt like now is not the time to address that. We felt like the time is now, because there are other Methodist congregations around the world who don't see men and women as equal. So we look past and when that time comes up to talk about the transgender, yeah, we'll talk about that and we'll vote on that. But right now, as a Southern United Methodist congregation, we need to let the world know and the annual conference know that we see men and women as equal. God pulled Adam's rib. That was his side. He didn't pull him from the head, didn't pull him from the feet, pulled his rib. Somebody to walk side of him, to be equal to him. So when we read this, and we're hearing all these pros and cons and why I'm against this and why I'm for this, we start brainstorming. And yeah, some of the things that were said made pretty good sense. But like I said, ultimately it comes down to, are men and women equal? Let's tackle that first. Let's let the world know that LifeSpring Langston believes that men and women are equal in the eyes of God. So this was a written vote. We wrote our vote down on this, yes or no, and we sent it we put it in a basket, and we'll know the results of that. We'll know the results of that later. So then after that, we took a break because tensions were high. And we came back, and that's when they started talking about pensions and insurance, and I got kind of bored, so I just walked around a little bit because, like I said, if you go to the South Georgia United Methodist website, www.sgaumc.com, you can see all that was discussed at the annual conference this year. There's a couple of John Wesley moments on there that's pretty funny if you want to look those up. But then we come back the next day, and we talk about this issue, this Fort Valley resolution. And this deals with a subject that could possibly split. And I struggled with saying this, but the seriousness is very serious of this situation. This could split the United Methodist congregation. And this deals with the issue of homosexuality. And as uncomfortable it is to probably hear, it's more uncomfortable to say. Because, like I said, it's what nobody wants to talk about. Our stance as a United Methodist church the official discipline sounds like this. United Methodist, the official book of discipline of our United Methodist Church teaches that sexual relations are affirmed only within the covenant of monogamous heterosexual marriage. requires our clergy to pledge to abstain from any sexual relations outside of marriage between one man and one woman, and forbids our congregation from hosting ceremonies that celebrate homosexual unions. And as a big of a hot button as that other topic was, male-female, this was even bigger. And you can imagine how you have one group of people who feel so headstrong and feel so convicted by what they feel, and you have another group that feels the same way, but it's the complete opposite views of what can go on between in that room. And not saying that there was no bickering, there was no arguing, but there was tension. Because for us, this has been something that's been talked about at every conference for the last 3 or 4 years. We haven't had a resolution of this. Last conference, we selected a delegation of, selected a delegation to go and vote on behalf of the Southern United Methodist congregation on this issue. They went, and they couldn't come up with anything. This issue divides our congregation so much that some pastors didn't even show up to the conference. I have my views on it. I'm not going to get into it. But I will say that love the sinner, hate the sin. If you know what that means, that's all I'm going to say about that. But I do want you to know a couple of dates and a time. This won't be long because it was a brief summary that I wanted to give. But the bishop has asked that at 2:23 every day that everyone set their alarm clocks to pray for 4 minutes because of this issue. Because this issue that is so big in the congregation that it could do something monumental, something none never heard of. So 2:23 every day, my alarm goes off, and I pray. I don't necessarily pray for 4 minutes, but I do pray that there's guidance given to our delegations, to our delegates. I pray that there's guidance given to our bishops, and there's guidance given to each and every one of us on what to do about this issue, because it's not going away. Also, in August this year or September, we don't know the time or the date yet, the bishop will be in our district to talk about this exact issue. Now, what they've come up with is 3 separate blueprints that we, as a Methodist congregation, can agree to. They have the traditional, which is what I just read. They have the one church blueprint, which each individual church and congregation and pastor decides where they stand on this issue. And then they have one called the legislation that's 3 separate bodies, and I tuned out. That was a lot. I didn't know. And that one probably won't come into fruition. Like I said, these are blueprints. So those are the 2-3 that when the bishop comes, he's going to want to hear our thoughts, how we feel about each and every one of these. I would encourage everyone with an opinion on this to show up and voice your opinion to the bishop about this, because he wants to hear how he's feeling. I'm not sure, he never said how he feels, but I know he's pretty torn about it. So that is in August of 2018 or September. He'll be down here to talk to us about that. Now, this Fort Valley resolution that the Fort Valley Methodist Church came up with, which is what you're reading, I'm going to summarize it. It was submitted by 5 members of the Fort Valley United Methodist Church and calls on the South Georgia Conference to affirm the present standards of the discipline. And also, if passed, resolves that the secretary of the annual conference within 60 days share a copy of the resolution and the vote count with the head of the general conference delegation of each annual conference, along with the request for the resolution to be shared with the delegations. So this resolution was brought forth by the Fort Valley United Methodist Church. There was 5 members of this that put this together. And what it pretty much says is that this is where we stand. We stand behind the traditional plan, the traditional blueprint of there should be accountability for clergy who violate their pledge. This was voted on, and it passed. It passed 400 and something to 100 and something. So what happens now is the Southern United Methodist congregation is backing the traditional plan. Now, that doesn't mean that the traditional plan is what's going to pass that general conference, because we're just one conference. There's other conferences around the world that still vote on this. But as a conference, this is what we decided. This is what was decided. Now, Dorsey and I, we talked about this. This was a struggle. The first 2, the spirituality task force, of course, no problem. Men and women, equality, yeah, no problem. But then it came to this one, and I can see why it's been such a hot topic, hot button issue over the last 3 or 4 years, because to some people it seems pretty cut and dry, and to other people it seems like, But like I said, I'm not going to go too deep into that. But those are the recaps from the conference that we had in Jekyll. So now, y'all see why I was so stressed? It's been a week. It's been a rough week for me. And I know it's been a rough week for each and every one of y'all. But my last message to y'all, and we're getting out early today because I didn't have too much planned to say, is just relax this week too. Relax this week, because it gets stressful. Work, new jobs, SLI training, pit crew meetings, life in general, kids, family. It gets stressful. Just relax. Luke said something Wednesday at our pit crew meeting: breathe. Breathe. Sometimes we forget to breathe when we're in high stress situations, and we don't breathe. We don't relax. And relaxing is letting go and knowing that God's in control. And at the end of the day, if you're in his will and that you're following his guidance and that you're prayerful and you're in the word and you're mindful of who he is and what he can do in your life, you don't even need to stress anyway. So, in the words of Aaron Rodgers, RELAX, relax. All right, I'm going to pray us out.